of you to this very first session today. I take this opportunity to introduce myself. I am Zubain Sheikh. I will be your Java trainer. I am having almost 6 years of experience in the field of teaching and training. I have completed my graduation in computer science and my masters in computer management from Pune University. I was working with one of the educational organization in Pune for 2 years. I was teaching to the second year students, diploma students. Later on, I have joined Sid Infotech Limited as a Java trainer, and within 3 years I have reached to subject matter expert at senior level. I have also got an opportunity to work with Microsoft IT Academy on a project which is based on health education in collaboration with Maharashtra State Council of Education and Research and Technology. I stood 8th in Maharashtra and I have also got selected at national level. Currently I am working as a freelancer Java trainer and soft skill trainer for a few educational institutions. Teaching is my passion, so I hope you will enjoy today's session. Thank you. Alright, so now we are going to start with object-oriented concepts. I hope no one is here aren't aware about object-oriented concept. Is there anyone? Okay, even if you don't know what is object-oriented concept, make your mind empty to receive more new interesting things about object-oriented concepts. Okay? It completely based on the approach. Before object-oriented approach, there was an approach which is known as procedural-oriented approach. Now the languages which follows procedural-oriented approach are C, COBOL, Pascal, etc. And the languages which follows object-oriented approach are Java, C#, C++, .NET, etc. Right? Now, why there is a need of object-oriented approach? So, if procedural-oriented approach is already there, why there was a need of a new approach, that is object-oriented approach? Okay, so let's get to know what is procedural-oriented approach. Even if you are designing a new software, a developer follows SDLC, that is software development life cycle. And during the development of a software, it's really very difficult to get the requirements from the user and map into the programming domain. Design those requirements into programming domain, which becomes a complex. So there is number one, there is impedance mismatch, which means there is a communication gap between the user of the system and the developer of the system, right? Second problem is the changing requirements during the development phase. Client realizing new requests or new requirements only after the release of the software. So the main motto behind designing your software through object-oriented approach is reducing the complexity. Alright? Are we together? Okay, so let me quickly show you the slide which will show you why we need to go for object-oriented approach and not to procedural-oriented approach. Okay? So, while designing your software, reducing the complexity, how? Lessen the communication gap, natural binding of data programs or subprograms, hide or unhide part of a data functionality from other part of the program, right? Modular in functionality and deployment, that means you're dividing entire software into different modules, right? Extend the functionality of new requirements which are disturbing existing implementation. so that your software is more usable, then easier to understand, use and maintain. So your software must be more user friendly. Okay, allow complex relationships between entities and also robust error handling. So your software also need to be robust. That means it must be reliable. Alright, so now let's take a simple example of any video game or a computer game. Okay, you might have played Road Rash or NFS or any car racing game, right? What are the different things that you can see on the screen? Can anyone tell me? Yes.
Car, then background, that
Right.
moving road,
Right.
and it depends on background.
So I can say car,
Yeah.
okay, road,
Mountains,
mountains,
streets,
right, good,
people,
tree, right, people, and
lot of things in this in that background. We can
actually, so you can also see buildings,
yeah, buildings.
right, river,
shops,
etc. Right? So all these things you are able to see on the screen, right, when playing games. Now, just tell me, do you identify this? Start underscore car
No.
or stop underscore car. Do you identify this? No. But do I start the car?
Yes.
Do I stop the car?
Yeah.
Yes, while playing games, I do start the car, I do stop the car. Right? But we are unable to identify this. But your brain is easily can identify these things, which are known as entities. Right? But your brain is unable to identify these things because these are procedures. These are functions. Alright? Okay. So let's take one more interesting example. Ma'am, could you please draw a simplest possible car for me? I request. Draw a simplest possible car. No one will laugh. Done? Thank you. So guys, this is a car. Okay, a bit difficult to imagine. Alright. So this is, we can say, a rough structure of a car. Right? Have I given you any specification of a car? The car should look like this. It should have windows, it should have tires like this. It should have the bonnet like this. No. See, I haven't given any specification to her. Still, she was able to draw a car. Or, to be very precise, I can say a rough structure of a car. Car is what? Car is an entity. Right? So, when I say any particular entity, she has drawn this particular structure of this car. Getting it? Now, what does that mean? How she was able to draw this particular car? Yes, she has seen car. We all know how car looks like, right? So if I say football, immediately a rough sketch comes into your mind. If I say pen drive, a rough sketch comes into your mind. So you draw it here for the first time, and then you draw it over here, right? So our brain can easily deal with real world entities like car, pen drives, roads, mountains, trees, people, etc. than dealing with these procedures, right? So from this it proves any entity, right, which is in real world have some structure,
right? Now can I say the structure is well defined? That means till date car looks like this. It has four wheelers, it has windows, it has driving seat, right? Till date. Now tomorrow maybe car is going to have some wings. We can imagine. But till date it looks like this. So an entity have some well defined structure. Okay. Now let's come to the other part. Say if I am driving that car or that vehicle and my vehicle is in motion. Say if I turn the steering over here, what will happen? Car will move to this side. Yes. If I apply brakes, what will happen? Car will stop. What am I doing with the car? Anyone? What am I doing with the car? I am making car functional. So I am applying some force and car is behaving accordingly, right? So can I say this is the behavior of a car, right? So with the structure, can I say there comes behavior, right? So if a structure is well defined, can I say behavior is also well defined? Are we together? Right? So car which has a structure and some behavior. If I apply brakes, car is definitely going to stop. Right? It's not going to fly. Right? So this entity which I can say a real world entity having well defined structure and well defined behavior which our brain can easily identify is known as object. I repeat, any real world entity which has some well defined structure and well defined behavior is called as object. Right? So what is object oriented approach? Here the orientation is towards object and not towards these procedures. The emphasis is on object. So in a given system, one object interacts with another object, which gives rise to overall systems which has different objects, and these multiple objects interact with each other. They communicate with each other, right? So these are the real world entities, right, which are known as objects. In a given system, in a given software, they interact or communicate with each other, right? Now when we say object oriented programming, right, why do we do programming? You might not have thought about this question before. Okay, why do we do programming? Yeah, one advantage or one reason is why we do it: to reduce the human efforts, of course, right? So we give a solution to a given problem. You write a program, WAP, for what? To give a solution, right? So why do we do programming? To give a solution, right? So to give a solution, why not use a paradigm which is more close towards this real world entities? If your brain cannot identify these procedures, but your brain can identify these real world entities, right? So can we map these real world entities into the programming domain? This is the approach. Mapping of real world entities into programming domain is known as object oriented programming. Are you getting it? I repeat, what is object? A real world entity which has well defined structure and behavior. And what is object oriented programming? Mapping of real world entities into programming domain to give a solution for a given problem is known as object oriented programming. And every object has some characteristics that I will let you know. So every object is having few characteristics through which that object can be identified, right? So here we are going to see characteristics of object. Okay, the first characteristic of object is state. As we have seen, every object is having some of its own attributes. So the value to the attributes decides the state of that attribute. For example, if I say there is a car standing over there, right? So that car is of red color. So if I can say there is a red BMW standing over there, right? So here color becomes the attribute, for example, and red is the value of that particular object at that point of time. So values to the attributes decides the state of the object. The second characteristic is the behavior, which we have already seen, how your object acts or reacts after applying some external force. For example, if my car is in motion, if I apply accelerator, if I apply force on the accelerator, my car will move ahead. If I apply brakes, the car will stop. Right? So this is how my object acts or reacts after applying some external stimulus, decides the behavior. Third characteristics, which is very important, which is identity. It uniquely identifies this object amongst all. Right? For example, if I come over here, right, I'm wearing this iCard, so you immediately identified me as he is the trainer. Right? I have identified you as students. Right? So every object is also having some unique identity through which it can be identified uniquely. And fourth characteristic is role or responsibility that object serves within the system. Right? So the role that object serves, the task, the function that object serves within the given system. Now these are a few guidelines, but there are more guidelines how you can actually map the real world entity into programming domain. Right? So what are those more guidelines that we are going to see now? Alright? Those guidelines comes under object model, which has 4 major pillars. So there are basically 4 major pillars of object model, which you might have heard well before. I will just note it down for you. First it is abstraction. The other goes for, yes, encapsulation. The third one is, right, inheritance. And the fourth one is, correct, polymorphism. Right? So these are 4 major pillars of object model. Right? Now we will see one by one. If I say abstraction, what is abstraction? You might have heard abstraction is like hiding or hiding something behind, right? But it's not always hiding something. Abstraction is always identifying the key aspects of a given object. I'll show you by one example. So, as abstraction says, it's the process of identifying the key aspects of an entity and ignoring the rest. Only those aspects are selected that are important to the current problem scenario. So it means, let's take some examples. Say if there is a student may have n number of attributes, but it is based on what is the scenario, what is the requirement. I am taking few attributes from that student. Right? For example, say if I have this 5 rupee coin, right? It shows heads, right? Now I am showing you head part. That also means I am hiding the tail part. So I am showing only the key aspect to you by hiding unnecessary details. So I am just showing the key points, right? So it says For example, abstraction of a person object, enumerate attributes of a person object that needs to be created for developing database, right? So a person can have a number of attributes, like he has name, he has age, he has blood group, he has religion, right? He is in which country he is living, his email address, his contact number, his ethnicity. There are n number of things, right? Which may be useful for social survey, which may be useful for healthcare industry, or may be useful for payroll system. Depends on the requirement, right? So depends on the requirement. There can be different scenarios. So for social survey, we might consider name, age, marital status, religion, income group, address, and occupation. For healthcare, we need name, age, address, occupation, blood group. We might not need his religion if you are considering healthcare, right? So we are just identifying the key aspects. We need a blood group over here. We need weight. We need previous records for the diagnostics, which is not required in case of social survey. Again, it is different in case of payroll system, where we are taking name, age, address, occupation, basic salary, department, qualification, which may not require in these two scenarios. So depends on the scenario, key points, key attributes would be different. Alright? So in real world we have the entity. Once we do the abstraction, this entity has n number of attributes. After doing abstraction, we find out some attributes which has some behaviors, right? And these attributes and behaviors may map in a software model. Attributes can be mapped to the data members, and your behaviors can be mapped to the methods, by using which we deal with object. So through object you can access the data members in your software model as well as methods in your software model, right? So this is the first major pillar of object model, that is abstraction. Correct? So for abstraction, let's take a simple example. We have this fan, ceiling fan, right? How can you do the abstraction for this ceiling fan? Its color, size, number of blades, make or model or the company, speed, at what speed you have kept the fan. There is one more example of a payment slip of your bank account, right? Which has different things. How can you do the abstraction? Account number is the attribute you need. If you are talking about bank example, you have bank,